hour wind category, then that'll jump up to 2,500, 2,600. It's a major jump.
And could you just other aspects of the Berge versus the ARE systems, maintenance, noise, any comparisons?
The question was compare the Berge 10 kilowatt to the ARE 10 kilowatt on noise and maintenance and all that. They're virtually the same for noise and for maintenance. The biggest difference is the output. The longevity, the Berge might actually outlast the ARE just a little bit, but that's a little bit of a question even because the AREs are somewhat new in the market. They've been kind of time tested as far as how they've been built, and they're made in the U.S. too, just like the Berges are. But they haven't had the length of time that the Berges have had as far as to check it that way. The Berges have basically been the same machine for the last 20 years. And that's why they don't perform as well, because they've been the same machine for the last 20 years. You know how it is. You got something that works good, you don't change it. Well, then again, maybe you do change it. At some point, you want to update it. Other questions? Yes?
What's the most common installations?
Most common installations?
Yeah, what type of facilities?
It just varies all over the place what you're looking for. It's getting more and more the monopoles as far as just the single pole rather than the guide wires or the tilt downs. People are starting to realize that they're not really wanting to tilt it down and work on it. They can get up and work on it standing up for one thing, and they look nicer. They don't have the guide wires. They don't have to mow around the guide wires and things like that. You can just get up right to it, and it's cleaner lines. As far as maintenance goes, there's a little less maintenance on the monopole. You have to basically paint or you have galvanized treatment on either one that way, but you don't have any cables you have to worry about being tight or anything like that. There's no exact common one at this point. It just depends on the preferences.
Do you do mostly residential then, or is it commercial? Or?
We started with the residential, but we're getting a lot more in the commercial now. Yeah, we've had requests from different corporations where they want to handle their loads, and I mean, one company in particular, we could get one that would 3.6 megawatt turbine that would do 15 million kilowatt hours a year, which is a lot of power. I mean, it's a 400-foot tall turbine. It's really up there too. And the problem was they needed 18 million kilowatt hours a year. So we couldn't get it with one turbine. We can do it with two, but there was city ordinance about locating them on site, and so we'd have to get special permission to put the two, and so there are a lot of problems like that when you get that level. Yes?
Are there any of the small systems that are suitable for rooftop installation, say in a commercial setting?
There are companies out there promoting that. The AirX was originally intended for that, and it does work up there to a point. But again, you got to have such high wind speeds that it becomes a problem. It's small enough that it doesn't tear the roof apart. If you get the bigger turbines, like the Southwest Wind Power, like the AREs, like the Berge, 1 kilowatt and above, there's enough vibration to those that they literally will tear the building apart. So you don't want to put them on top of a roof. The vertical axis turbines are designed for that application, but again, you got to get such high wind speeds that they're kind of worthless that way. So there's nothing on the market yet that's really good for that application for most people. I mean, I've seen where they put 5 AirXs on there. The 5 AirXs, will give you about 150 kilowatt hours a month under perfect conditions. And the chances of that is not very good. So, yeah, you're better off with something separate if you can. Good question. Yes?
Can the ARE be used with a battery backup?
Most of the turbines, the ARE in particular, can be used with battery or grid tie.
The 10 kW?
Yeah, the 10 kW too. Yes.
Isn't the Berge only the 7.5? Well, I guess that's a 10 kW. Can we use it with a battery also?
Yes. The question is, can you use the AREs and the Bergies with the battery systems in the 10K range? The AREs, yes, you can use the 10K with the battery. The Bergie 10K, when they change it over to the battery version, it drops it to 7.5 because of the way the system's set up. So you don't get the full 10K on that. Yes?
Are the large commercial scale machines available, or are they all being used up on the wind farms?
They're available. The hardest part is getting anything between 100 kilowatts and 600. There's nothing in the market. There used to be 250s and 500s and 450s and all that. There's nothing out there anymore in that size that's new. There's used stuff, but nothing new.
What size are the wind farm ones that we see out there?
Some of the original wind farms are in the 600 range. Some of them are, 1,000 or actually a megawatt. The new ones are pretty much all 2.1s, 2.5s. Suzlons are 2.1 megawatts, I believe, and the Clippers are 2.5. Furlanders are 2.5 and 2.1. Most of them are going the large ones for wind farms. The larger the better because of the scale factor. They're cheaper to put up because you're putting up one instead of two. And even if it is bigger, it's cheaper to have one road to it than it is two roads. And the cost per watt of output is much better. The big ones now can produce power at about 4.5 cents a kilowatt hour. They're just pretty routinely. You can't get the utility usually to buy it for the 5.5 that you want, but they'll buy it for the 4.5. Yeah. Yes.
What is available out there for residential tax incentives, grants, and where would you look for that?
There is a $2,500 tax credit from the federal government. That doesn't do a whole lot, but it's worth something. Iowa Energy Center, you can get 0% interest loan on half the cost of the system, which is nice. You work that with your bank. You go to your banker and tell them what you want to do. You have to fill out the application. It's like a 3-page application to send to the Iowa Energy Center. They review it, and if approved, then you get half of the money at 0%. So that's a nice feature. There was a USDA Rural Development Grant out there. It was a 7-year program. Last year they extended it for 1 year. They have not, to my knowledge, extended it yet. We haven't been told, at least, that they have. We're hoping that they don't do it just year by year because that doesn't help anybody. If they go 5 years or 10 years at a time, it would be much better for everybody so you can plan ahead and get some of these projects going. Most wind projects, even the small ones, take 6 months or more to develop and put up. The big ones take 3 years or more, typically. There's not a lot of programs in our area. Ohio, with all the federal programs and the state programs and everything, they'll fund up to 85% of the cost of the system. California, it's about 50%. Colorado, it's about 50%. Some of the other states are about the same. Minnesota, it's a little different application, but not talking about grants, but about what the requirements are for paying you if you go net metering. In Iowa, they only have to pay you what their avoided cost is, which is $0.015 to 2 cents a kilowatt hour for the extra you produce. In Minnesota, they mandated that they have to pay you what they would charge you. So that's much, much different. So that's why it makes a lot of sense for those people out there to do it right now and not wait, in case they change the law. That does happen. Question? Yes?
So in the first steps or approach to getting a project going, we talk to our co-op or electrical company.
You can. It really makes more sense just to talk with whoever your supplier is of the turbine, if you're going with a turbine, and find out, what's available in the market. Approximate cost. You don't need to have an actual bid. You can get an approximate cost. Is it going to be $25,000? Is it going to be $50,000? Whatever the number is, and then you can do some quick economics. That's what we do all the time for everybody that comes to us. We take about an hour and run through the numbers, take their data off of their utility bill, and give them a real rough cost idea, you know. It's roughly this many dollars, it's roughly this many years payback. Now, if it sounds attractive, then it makes sense to go on beyond that. But if it's at that point, you know, obvious that it's something you just don't want to do, it's way more money you planned on, or the payback's much longer than you thought, then that saves everybody a lot of time. And it's really not that hard to do this day and age with the systems we've got to do the analysis. A lot of good questions. Anything else? Well, I think we're about out of time, so I appreciate all your help coming today, your support and everything. Thank you.